Oh, man. Are you kidding me? The stars of the show, to my right, the great, and I might add, tamed down tonight.
I promised I'll behave.
His wife heard the show, and his wife said, Patrick, you shall not behave like that anymore. And I listened to the show again, expecting some of that language to be beeped, and it wasn't. And you know what I said? I love it. I love that. Well, passion.
As I recall, your response to the Commissioner Gene Cato about 40 years ago, 1 out of 2 is not bad.
1 out of 2 ain't bad, man.
You give me a chance, I can catch him.
Hey, give me another week. Give me another week, and I'll get 2 more texts. But no, welcome, sports fans. And we have some great football to talk about. We have some great guests. We're going to have the great Greg Mattison. He's been an assistant coach for about 100 years, spent 11 years in Michigan, 7 years at Notre Dame, 3 years at Florida, won a national championship at Florida. He's going to talk some Notre Dame football with us. We're going to have the great Paul Condry from Regional Radio Sports Network. Paul is a Hobart Bricky. That's where he went to school. He loves it, and he's done their games this year. He's going to give us a little scouting report on that New Prairie Hobart game. Don't tell him I said Hobart.
Well, you're going to show where you live.
I'm in deep stuff already.
That's
man.
like saying Nashville or Louisville.
I'm in deep stuff already. Hey, so every now and then, as a coach, we have to eat a little crow. And so, and in this media business, and let's be honest about this, I would much rather be almost coaching than in the media business, but I'm not coaching anymore.
No.
Not coaching, you're not coaching anymore. So we've chosen to do this. So, there are opportunities and times when you have to talk about other coaches. And the last thing that I like doing is ever being negative with another coach. But at the same time, I mean, we gotta tell it like we see it, right?
Right, I agree.
And we were pretty critical of Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish with their effort against Louisville 2 weeks ago.
Well, I don't think we were the only people.
No, I think
we called it how we saw it.
Yeah, and so us coaches though, okay, the coach in us likes to say, man, he's getting it from all sides.
Sure. I
ain't going to pile it on because I'm an ex-coach and you're an ex-coach. But at the end of the day, we do have to call it like we saw it. And the trap game was there. I mean, the trap game, the Louisville trap game was there. And when I think about that, and when I think back to my coaching days, which were over, about the same time your days were, right. The trap games, to me, they were easy to identify, and those trap games, practice was brutal. The practice was brutal because I never wanted my guys not to come out to play.
Right.
I never wanted them to say he didn't get his team ready to play. Now, so we differ on that. I say it's the coach's job to get his guys ready to play. You say it's the players that have to get themselves ready to play. Now, are we still in that same corner?
To a point.
Now you're backing down?
No, I'm not backing down. But
I'm going to start cussing.
Okay.
No.
Calm down.
All right, cool.
What you just said makes a lot of sense. It verified both of our responses.
Yes.
You're saying that it's the coach's responsibility during the week to get them ready. My response was it's the player's job to be ready. That's the best I got.
Can I say anything?
Can
I talk?
You can talk whatever.
All right.
That's all I got.
But my fingers are on the buttons.
But my point is identify when there's a potential trap game. And everybody in the country would have identified Louisville being a trap game.
Well, and
really, I'm not sure that that's really that true because Louisville was undefeated.
Right.
And Notre Dame was coming off of a game where they didn't play good against Duke, but Duke was undefeated too. Mm-hmm. So Notre Dame comes to win. So I'm saying, man, I am busting these cats up all week in practice because the one thing that's not going to happen is my guys are not going to come out and not play because of the natural progression of thinking ahead to Southern Cal.
Sure.
So I will bust these cats' ass all next week.
Sure.
And solve that problem of these guys not coming out to play.
Well, there's all kinds of analogies where we always talk about how the games are not a destination. They are part of the journey.
Yes.
So you use that as your theory and say, all right, we won this week. Now we need to get ready to win next week.
Yes. Yes.
And let's go 1 week further now. Look at what happened this Saturday. Who had their own trap game? Louisville's so happy they go over to Pitt.
Who's 1-4 and can't bust the grape, in the immortal words of 1946 Jumpin' Johnny Wilson.
And look what happened to Louisville.
Louisville's
Louisville's going through right now. They're having the same meetings that Notre Dame had a week ago.
Yes. So to Coach Freeman and his staff and all of the people at Notre Dame involved in the football program, congratulations on putting together either the best game plan in America or by busting those dudes up all week. Because I don't think there's any question that this game against Southern Cal was the signature win in Marcus Freeman's career so far to date.
To this point. John, you said you had a couple questions. Didn't you have a football question that dealt with this, maybe that we could throw in here right here?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea to do that. We had a viewer email me today, said, did Caleb Williams, in your guys' opinion, lose the Heisman Saturday with his performance after we kind of gave him the Heisman last year with his performance out at the Coliseum?
Yeah, I don't think he lost the Heisman because it's a what have you done for me lately league, to be honest with you. And he goes out next week and throws 7 touchdown passes against Utah. He's got some great games coming up now. He's got Utah, he's got UCLA, he's got some great games. Oregon, Washington.
They jump right into the Pac-12 conference the rest of the season, and the better teams in the Pac-10, in the Pac-12,
and so or the Pac-4. Or the Pac-4.
Right now, it's still we're just going to call it the Pac. I almost call it the Pac-10 because that's what we grew up with it as.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about this more later. We also found out what happens to a quarterback when teams do something different to him. The whole game plan, from what I could tell from my amateur thing, was get him off of his spot. And actually, we want to push him left, get him out of the pocket, but let's force him left, because he's right-handed. All right, and what that reminded me of was the old grade school basketball, force the guy to dribble with his weak hand. That's the first thing that came to my mind was when we were talking about everything they're pushing him left. And he threw off balance, and look what happened to him first half.
It's a good thing that you never played against me when I was in junior high. It's a good thing because you wouldn't have known which way to push me because I couldn't handle a ball with either hand. Which way are we pushing heck? Right, left? I don't know.
Just make him dribble, right?
I don't know, but I think the game plan. Was great. And I mean, take the game plan and throw it out. I mean, both lines for Notre Dame dominated the game. The offensive line and the defensive line for Notre Dame, which weren't to be seen last week,
right?
And they dominated the lines, and so from that standpoint, anything Notre Dame wanted to do worked. To be honest with you,
well, I agree. Well, let's talk about our sponsors real quick. We'll go to a break here, and we'll maybe talk to Coach Mattison.
Yep.
Hey, we're at Bar Louie again. Tuesday nights are our night when they have half-price burger night. And tonight they've got plenty of room. We got Monday Night Football coming up. We've got Texas on right now watching baseball. And, we go through our other sponsors. You mentioned funeral home. We've got.
Hey, we got Hahn's Funeral Home. Hey, John. What did one casket say to the other casket?
Is that you coughing?
So why you got to steal my lines? All right, go ahead. Why you got to steal my lines?
Oh, I thought I was supposed to.
No,
you asked him a question.
You're good.
I'm Johnny, be good, man.
You're good. Fire some commercials out.
I pay attention.
Thank you.
The guy over to your right does not. I do.
Thank you.
Tony Letcher with Health Markets Insurance is a proud supporter of Coach's Corner. Whether you need help with your health insurance or Medicare, it's time to get the right coverage from the right place. Call Tony at 574-307-8882 or visit his website at letcher.com. Andy Kern and James Carpenters are both real estate brokers with the Weichert Real Estate and Jim Dunfee and Associates Agency. The office is locally owned but has big company resources behind it that many smaller real estate offices just don't have. Whether you're selling your fifth house or buying your starter home, Andy and Jim can help. They have great experience. Call or text Andy at 574-386-4479 or give James Carpenter, a call at 574-292-2277 for great local real estate service. Frick's Driving School has been named the best driving school in Michiana. Not second best, not third best, but the best. Man, if I was a kid and I would learn to drive from Frick's, my life would be so much better with my wife. She's always complaining about my driving. The best in Michiana. Frick's was started in 1960 and is located on Edison Road in Mishawaka. If your child is 15 or if your child is 67, you can get them started at Frick's. There are multiple instructors available for driving lessons, including our own coach, Patrick King. To learn more, go to fricksdrivered.com or give them a call at 574-256-2881. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Kaurich Chiropractic and Wellness Center. Dr. Kevin Kaurich would like to invite you to stop by his office on Cleveland Road in South Bend, just east of Portage Avenue. He's been serving Mishawaka Michiana for over 20 years, specializing in back, neck, and headaches, naturally with chiropractic care. Go see him for a free consult at Kaurich Chiropractic and Wellness Center. Learn more on their website or give them a call at 574-282-2828. What about Hahn's Funeral Home, man? Did I tell you the joke? Have I told you this joke?
I'm going to act like I haven't heard it.
What did one cast?
No, you haven't told me the joke.
What did one casket say to the other? Is that you coughing? The loss of a loved one can leave you with lots of unanswered questions and stress. At Hahn Funeral Homes of Mishawaka, we're here to help. Our focus has always been on the families that we serve. At Hahn Funeral Home, we stand ready to meet your needs and exceed your expectations when selecting a funeral home. Our experienced funeral directors and staff will be there for you every step of the way for all your service needs. Hahn Funeral Homes, located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mish. You can call us anytime at 574-255-1474. Stop in to get answers from our local funeral professionals. And then obviously we can't get into this without talking about the Black Sedan Band, a band in Birmingham, Alabama. We have our Black Sedan hotline. They have great music. This is our second year with them sponsoring us. So if you have any questions, just let us know. If you want to book them, let us know. They do travel, and they're great. They play great music, and like I said, they've been with us for 2 years.
Hey, so do we have Coach Mattison on the line?
Yes, we do.
Hey, Coach Mattison, how are you, man?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm just good, reveling in that great Notre Dame victory on Saturday night against Southern Cal. As I said earlier on this show, I thought it was Marcus Freeman's first signature win here at Notre Dame. What do you think about that?
I think it was a great win. I don't know if it was his first one. I think a lot of the things that he's done this year are great wins. And taking that program over, doing what he's doing. People don't realize he's playing one of the toughest schedules in football. And for them to do what they've done so far and the way they've played, I was so excited. I think he's done a tremendous job.
Yeah, you take that Louisville game out, and you think now. So I would call that Louisville game, and maybe it's not, and maybe it wasn't. But from my perspective in coaching, I might have called that Louisville game a trap game because you had USC coming the next week. But obviously you got to give Louisville respect because they were undefeated also, and in that game, the line play both offensively and defensively for Notre Dame was not existent, which caused a lot of problems for the Irish, I thought.
Well, the thing we don't know, and I think you're going to find out as the season goes on, I believe they're still a little short talent-wise, and it's going to take Marcus a few years to get the recruits he wants. And I don't think anybody really knows how many guys were banged up in that Louisville game. And when you're a team playing the schedule they're playing and trying to play at the level that they're playing at and are playing at right now, you've got to be healthy the whole time. And anytime you lose one or two receivers or an offensive lineman is banged up, you're not going to play the same.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. And the public, the talking heads, guys like us who talk about those games and break those games down, we're not privy to that information. And so cutting the coach some slack or saying, hey, he had his guys ready to play. They just didn't come out and do it. I mean, I was always a firm believer in my coaching career that if my guys didn't come out to play, and I could tell that, early on in the game, that maybe that was, something that I didn't do during the week to get my guys ready to play. Do you believe in that concept that if your guys don't come out ready to play, it's on the coach a little bit, or do you think that it's solely on the players?
No, I think almost everything is on the coach at a program like this. And I think, and that goes back to what I mentioned before. Sometimes the talent level or the number of players you have doesn't allow you to get them ready to play like you want them to. And, a lot of places at games like that, if somebody's a little banged up or maybe somebody isn't ready to play, another guy steps in and plays. And I don't know that Marcus has been there long enough to be able to do that.
You've been in a lot of great programs, 11 years at Michigan, 7 at ND, 3 at Florida, won a national championship, a couple at Ohio State. How many years have you been out of coaching now?
This will be the third year.
Man.
Third year, so I get to watch every game. I wear my wife out. The great news is I get to go watch my grandkids play flag football, and then I get home ready for the first game to start, and then I watch it all the way through until maybe 11 o'clock at night. And if Coach Hoke's playing at San Diego State, I watch that too.
Yeah, that'll keep you up till 1 in the morning playing on the West Coast there. Hey, so you got a couple of great games this week now. You got Penn State, Ohio State. What do you think about that game?
I love it. I was at practice there last week at Ohio State, and I'm excited for them. I'm excited. I tell you, Ryan is doing a tremendous job there, and they're trying to put it up. They're trying to push that team up to be the best that they can be. And watching them practice, they were practicing very, very, very well.
You had a chance to know Justin Fields when you coached there. Talk about Justin Fields and what you think of him.
I think he's tremendous. I think he's a tremendous, number one, he has unbelievable character. And number two, he's a tremendous athlete, and he's very, very intelligent. And, I think it's just a matter of time. And again, for a quarterback, as you know, a quarterback's only as good as the people around him. And I think that has to be something that they address, and they get the receivers and the offensive linemen and the people they need. That way, he will be a star.
Michigan at Michigan State, man. You were part of 11 of those games. How many of those games did the underdog win, do you think?
Well, I don't know how many times the underdog won, but I know one thing: playing at Spartan Stadium is tough now. That's everybody keeps wanting to say Michigan hasn't played anybody. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know one thing: when you are at Michigan and you go play at Michigan State, you better be ready, and you better play your best game. And so we'll see on that.
Throw the records out when you go to Spartan Stadium, right?
No question.
Hey, Coach, this is Pat King. I'm Hex. I guess I'm kind of the Eli to the Peyton here.
All right, Todd.
But I got a question for you from back when you were coaching. Your son went to Iowa, is that right?
Yes, he did.
And where were you coaching then? Were you at Michigan at the time?
Yeah, but no, I was at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
And, a great story on that is Notre Dame offered him, and it was Ty Willingham, and he said, we want your son to play here like your daughter did in softball. And I said, well, great. And they offered him a scholarship, and we went home, and Brian knew he was offered. And I said, Brian, I don't think it's good that you go to Notre Dame. As great of a school as it is, and as much as I love the school, I think a young man has to be a man and go off on his own. And he looked at me like I had just sold him out. Well, ironically, I was at Florida after that, and he was captain at Iowa and played us in a bowl game, and he had 2 sacks in the first half. And every time he got a sack, he looked over at me and went, you dog. And,
good for him. But that was my question.
Yeah,
had you run across where the two of you were on opposite sidelines while he was playing? So you just answered that one.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good story. That's a good story.
Well, in fact, the Florida players, we had just won the national championship the year before, and the Florida players came up to me on the sideline and they go, Coach, what are you doing? How did you let that guy get away? And I went, I think he's got something proven right now.
Hey, listen, Coach, thanks for taking a couple minutes. I know you're on the road. I know you're heading down to see the big boys, see my brother Mick, see Riz, and hang out in some nice warm weather. The weather's, and obviously, as you know, the weather's terrible up here now. It's starting to get cold, and we're starting to get that fall season. But be safe on the road, and thanks for taking a minute and talking football with us.
Hey, thanks, Ron. Hey, Ron, did I see a relative of yours on my phone? Where he the Cleveland Browns. Riley was with Mo Hurst, the young man I had recruited and coached.
I do not know that. I know I have a nephew who's playing quarterback at Walton High School in Atlanta, Georgia. He's the quarterback of the #1 rated high school team in Georgia, and I know he's playing. I know Jeff has a daughter that's an assistant coach over with the Cleveland Browns, Riley. Yeah,
that's right. That's who I saw, and I thought of you. I went, God dang, the Hecklitskys are everywhere.
You can't shake us, man. I'm just saying. And you're heading down to hang with another one, man. Hey, thanks, Greg.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
All right, bye. That's the great Greg Mattison, man. He's a great football coach. He has great stories. He had great stories about Urban Meyer
say the Florida
when he was
stories,
with him.
Didn't have that would be a whole hour.
Yeah, no, and
Florida
he's very good in talking about the stories, and he's on his way down to Florida. And I lives in Florida in the wintertime. Lives in the same complex as my brother Mike, and he's just really, really knowledgeable. I thought it was interesting how he was very positive towards Marcus Freeman and bringing other interesting facts into the equation, saying, hey, we don't know who was banged up.
Right.
I mean, we don't know who wasn't 100% on that line. I mean, obviously, I saw the great Joe Alt get pancaked twice by Louisville defenders, but we don't know the ins and outs.
Maybe he was playing injured, and he brought up a good point that Notre Dame still doesn't have that elite depth that maybe some of these upper tier teams have, where they can have a backup come in without having a drop off.
Yeah, no, I think you look at programs like Georgia, you look at programs like Alabama, and they go 3 deep with 5A recruits.
Right.
And somebody gets injured, someone's not playing well. Hey, out you're gone. You're gone.
Well, and
slide
I think
in, big
right
boy.
now the biggest thing here, one of the biggest things at Notre Dame right now is that wide receiver. They brought in all these young wide receivers, and then a couple of people got hurt, and they had to go to the lacrosse team to find a wide receiver off the taxi squad, so to speak, and he's getting minutes.
Yeah, he's getting minutes, and the word on the street is that he was destroying the number one defense in practice.
He was on the scout team
when he was running the scout team and beating everybody, and so they said, hey, man, we're going to put you up here, and you're going to play. Scored a touchdown last week against Louisville. His last name is Faison, and put him on football scholarship, and playing two other freshman receivers in number 17. I forgot his name.
The main thing we're looking at is
Greathouse, number 19.
Look how much they're throwing the ball to the tight end, and because they know there's nothing out on the edges right now, and until they get that proven, that's one of the big, Hartman's having issues.
Well, and he is having. I thought early in the game against Southern Cal, he looked a little skittish a little bit, but he can look skittish when his running game's back. And I thought the running game again was really good. 29 rushes for 125 yards, and Estime came back and rushed the ball 22 times for maybe 95 yards, something like that. And when Notre Dame runs the football, it's a totally different looking team. But in order to run the football, the offensive line, has to be doing their job, and the play selection and where you going to run it to. I mean, Estime ain't going.
It's going between the tackles.
He ain't going east and west.
It's going between the tackles.
Estime's going north and south.
Yeah. And the other thing I was looking at defensively, we talked about how the defense stepped up. The defensive player of the game, I would think, has to be Xavier Watts.
Oh, 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
And how many times did he have forced fumbles? They kept showing replays about how he was knocking the ball loose. Somebody else who got the scoop? Did he get the scoop and score?
Yeah, he got the scoop and score.
There was another one. There was another fumble that they picked up, and they showed where it was him that just punched the ball loose, and then somebody else, got the recovery, and they all went and dapped him up because they knew he just took his fist, came up from behind to just punch.
Yeah, no, the Peanut Tillman punch.
Yeah,
the Peanut punch. And here's a little nugget for you. One of New Prairie's best, Chase Ketterer, threw the big block on about the 23-yard line that sprung Jadarian Price on that kickoff return. So you talk about guys that were great high school players. Chase Ketterer was a quarterback on that great New Prairie team. He's playing at Notre Dame. He's on the kickoff team. He ain't the quarterback.
And he's getting on the field. When you're a freshman, all you want to say, Coach, put me on the field.
But he's a senior. And
I'm thinking about the other kid. I'm thinking about Fisher.
Yeah, he's a senior, but he's on the field. He's a scout team quarterback when they're playing teams that run the triple option. But he's on the kickoff team.
Sure.
And as a kid, like you're thinking, oh man, I'm going to play for Notre Dame. I'm doing this. I'm Joe Theismann. I'm John Ewart.
Just get me on the
Joe
field.
Montana. No, get on the field and make an impact for Notre Dame.
That's what you got to have.
And so 48-20. I didn't see the polls. Did you see any polls come out today and where Notre Dame was slated at today?
No, I did not. I would guess they're in the second 10.
But, Sam Hardman, a little skittish early, came on a little late, had a nice touchdown pass to Ty or to Kaurich, and so Notre Dame posed that out. Another great game, Oregon and Washington. What a great game that was.
I watched that one. I went home. I told you when we finished the tailgate, I was going home. Yes, I did. I watched every bit of that. I saw Shaq Van on TV a couple of times after a couple of touchdowns. He's an Adams boy, and one of my son's buddies that he grew up with played at Eastern Michigan. He's now a position coach there at University of Washington, so he was on the sideline.
Michael Penix, the supposedly washed-up quarterback at IU that
couldn't keep him healthy.
That they couldn't keep healthy. I mean, he leads Washington. Coach Lanning at Oregon twice passes up gimme field goals.
Field goals. They went for it.
and went for it and didn't make it and got beat 3. IU got hammered again at Michigan 52-7. Purdue lost to Ohio State 41-7. College football, man. College football is in play right now, man.
A couple of other trap games you might want to mention there. Out at Washington State, Arizona walks in there with a 1-3, 1-4 record, a 1-win team, and put it on Washington State 44-6, and then poor Kentucky. Kentucky loses last week, and then they turn around, come back home, thinking they're going to get healthy. Missouri comes to town, and Missouri spanks them by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, no.
They broke my heart again on our picks.
Yeah, no. Poor Kentucky, right? Poor John Calipari. Poor Kentucky.
He keeps telling me, give me. The coach Stoops says, give me more money so I can, recruit with Georgia, I can recruit with Alabama.
And what did DeVito say?
Quit coughing.
No, money can't buy me love.
Joke.
Money can't buy me love, man.
Well,
come on, that's Sabitos, man.
John, you ready for another station break, and then we're going to talk about some high school football.
And we can do that, and I'll get Paul Condry on the line for you guys as
Beautiful.
well.
Who's the Frick's Road Team of the Week?
Frick's Driving School, my road team of the week. I had 3 possibilities this week, and as I'm sitting here sneaking a peek at the baseball score, as I mentioned, Missouri went into Lexington and beat up on Kentucky. That's 2 losses in a row for them. That was one of my options. Arizona, defeated Washington State, who was in the top 20, beat them like 44-6. But the biggest one was for you people that stayed up Friday night was in Boulder, Colorado. When I went to bed, it was 29-0. Stanford and Colorado. If you remember, Colorado was up 29-0. And somehow Stanford scored 46 points in the second half and came back and beat Colorado in 2 overtimes, 46-43. So they're both now tied at 1-3 in the conference. But Stanford, Alex Daniels was 27-45, 395 yards, 4 touchdowns. Shadur Sanders.
Get the name right. Where's Magic Mind? Magic Mind.
That was my exact same thing. Magic Mind.
No more Prevagen.
Now, he was 37 of 47, 33 of 47, 400 yards passing, but they kept throwing the ball. They had to do is run the ball, run it out, run the clock out. And they kept giving the ball back to Stanford, and Stanford scored. And one thing, anyways, Stanford is my road team of the week. 46-43, 2 overtimes over Colorado.
High school football, Coach King. You're the king of high school football. I don't think there were any games that were phenomenal last Friday night. Were there?
No,
that you saw, or
not locally? Not locally. The probably the best game around in the state was down at Brownsburg. You had number 3 Brownsburg, number 4 HSE, 21-14. Other than that, really there weren't too many close games of ranked teams. Most of the ranked teams in the top 3 or 4 had their way. Now it's tournament time.
But now it's tournament time. Some schools have buys. The 6As and the 5As have buys.
Right.
And the 1 through 4s are playing.
They play this week.
And there is going to be a pretty good football game played between our New Prairie Cougars here against Hobart. Not Hobart. Hobart Brickies.
And I did see New Prairie last week. They had a decent game. They were down 8-0 at halftime in the rain over at Elkhart. And the thing that was nice about New Prairie is they've played 6A teams 2 weeks in a row.
But we're going to see, and we're going to talk to one of my really, really good friends in this business, Mr. Paul Condry of Regional Radio Sports Network, and who is a Hobart Brickie. And Paul, how you doing, man?
Great to be with you, coaches. Tell you what, you guys are so clueless. Let me start off by saying that.
All right.
You got to remember.
Let me start with that.
This is like two
what is
students
Pac-Team talking about when he's talking about what about some great games last week? How about Cathedral and Center Grove? How does that not rank amongst the best games in the state?
Because I didn't write it down. And where was it? It was at Butler, which I should have known. I saw that. It slipped my tongue. And that's why we called you, because you are the master. You would know every game in every part of the state.
In high school football in the state of Indiana.
Just for the record, only 12 ranked teams lost last week. So let's put that into perspective that it is. And I'm just joking with you when I'm talking about clueless. Great to be with you guys tonight on the program. But let me qualify these remarks very, very vividly. Coach Heck, as you well know, as a member of the Hobart Athletic Hall of Fame, let me qualify this from a program that has won 4 state championships. Can I mention that?
Yes, sir. Yes, that's why you're on this.
That is an all-time record of 663 wins with 22 sectionals, 17 regionals, 10 semi-states, 8 state runners-up, 4 state championships, 17 Duneland Conference championships, including 56 games in a row.
And
you're asking a guy to come on to talk about Hobart football? You called the right guy.
No, listen, I knew this. I knew this. Talk to us about Hobart this year. What do you see? What do you like? I mean, where's their strengths?
Well, first of all, I saw them in week 2 against Maryville. As you guys know, I spend my Friday nights in the Duneland Conference, but when I'll try to see Hobart at least once a year. This will be my second year. Now, I'm very, very biased about this, guys, and I'm going to be very, very honest and upfront. There are 4 guys on that current coaching staff that either played for me or I have some affiliation, but I will tell you this. Steve McIntyre, the offensive coordinator, heck, you know this.
Yes.
Because Steve was my broadcast partner for 27 years. And I'll tell you what, he's dialing up some huge offensive numbers. But I look at it this way. Casey McKim has done an absolutely fabulous job since taking over for Russ Radke. I mean, first of all, to follow that guy, you have to have at least one screw loose. But Casey, a great kid. Valparaiso, great. And I say that jokingly because he's one of my best friends in coaching. But, you know, he's done a tremendous job. Of course, this is a team that got to the state finals a year ago. Talented football team, and they got their quarterback back. And I tell you what, they're going to be a handful. I'm going to tell you what right now, this game could, and I'm doing this game on Regional Radio Sport. This game could last 7 hours because these teams are going to throw the ball all over the field. Hobart's defense is as porous as our national debt, and it is all kinds of problems they have in stopping people. They can, however, I will say this. They can sling the ball, they can run the ball all over the ballpark, and I think this is going to be an offensive slugfest at AMC Miller Field. And my case in point for Hobart offensively, if you look at them coming into the football game, and I got the stats right here in front of me, they come in, their quarterback, Johnny Sorensen, 1,453 yards passing. He's only thrown 2 interceptions the whole year, and this is his first year starting. Their star running back, Willie Shear, is averaging 6.8 times he touches the football. Their backup running back is averaging 6.4 rushes per ball game. So these guys are offensively a dynamic team. However, defensively, they have got some issues. If New Prairie defensively can put the bricks on hold offensively, they'll win the football game. If they can't stop Hobart's offense, then we're going to have a 56-52 game or something crazy as that. That's my analysis going into this one, just off the top of this old bald cranium.
The last time I heard that analogy, the Dead Sea was only sick, by the way. All right, I just want to tell you that about the porous.
This is going to be a slobber knocker. I'm telling you, these teams have played 3 times.
All right,
and all the games have been in the playoffs. And New Prairie won, of course, last year in the sectional championship game. But Hobart's won the first 2 games. So, you know, I tell you what, the teams are familiar with each other, but the personnel for Hobart is probably significantly different than what Casey had to prepare for last year. The early kid who was their starting quarterback last year transferred to Crown Point. He is now there. Sorensen's a whole new look for them. So I think what they're doing offensively, if Casey's defense can dial them up, they can win the football game. But if they can't stop that Hobart offense, then we're going to be playing till Saturday, I think.
Well,
best team in the Duneland Conference.
I mean, say, Paul, my question for you real quick without interrupting. the new quarterback, is he part of the program, or did they find him in the transfer portal?
No, they got him in the transfer portal, and that's a great question, Pat, because, that's what it's been happening. I mean, for a perfect example, T.J. Caldwell, the Hobart wide receiver, he's on the cover of our Indiana Football Digest. But he transferred from Calumet High School to Hobart during the offseason. So Hobart's been pretty active in the transfer portal, as is everybody, it seems like, in Northwest Indiana. There's people coming and going. And, if we had to depend upon our kids going from point A to point B, you're going to need a passport at some point in time, I think, here. But I just think this has the makings of one of those old-fashioned shoot-'em-up, take you out to the ball yard and just have a great time. I don't know how good the defenses are for either of these football teams. If you look at the comparative scores of the teams that they play, obviously you look at New Prairie, their loss was to LaPorte. That has to be the worst loss in Casey McKim's career. But they rebounded nicely. But their lone loss was to a dynamic Penn team. I think this is a Penn team that could make a deep trip into the tournament series. I really believe that defensively they're playing great football. But if you look at this Hobart team, their two losses are to Hanover Central, which won the Northwest Crossroads Conference, which is what the conference that Hobart's in now. They've won. They're 6-0 overall, and then you look at their other team that they lost to, which was in week 2, was to Maryville. Maryville not too shabby at 7-2, and ranked number 6 in 5A. So both teams, I think, have played some pretty good competition. I just don't know how good their respective conferences are, and it's hard to. It's not like you're playing in the MIC, or if you're playing maybe even that Mid-States Conference down there with Whiteland and Martinsville and some of those really good football teams, or even the Summit Athletic that's a little hot top heavy right now. But right. This is a league. Both of these leagues are just really, really average, I think, from top to bottom. But that's just this reporter's opinion.
Yeah, their strength of schedules are probably the same. But, you were talking, it sounded like you were giving us a Southern Cal scouting report there when you were describing Hobart, because you were talking about all the glitter and glam of them throwing the ball all over the yard, scoring touchdowns, but they can't stop anybody. It just kind of what it reminded me. It's kind of what it reminded me of. It sounded like a Notre Dame Southern Cal scouting report.
Well, it really comes down to that, Pat. Defensively, and Hubbard's special teams has not been very good either, and I know that's got to be one of the biggest reasons. I mean, if you look at their scores defensively, they gave up 38 to Hammond Morton, but they scored 65. They gave up 31 to Hanover Central. They scored 26. They gave up 48 points to Kankakee Valley. They still won the football game 53-48. But they have scored a lot of points. They're averaging 39 points a game and giving up about 24. If you're going to win a sectional championship, I honestly believe you can't give up 24 points a game, and that's going to be Hobart's biggest bugaboo. I will say this. The winner of this game wins the sectional.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. Who's the best team in the Duneland Conference, the conference that you cover on a weekly basis?
Crown Point, hands down, the best team right now. They've won back-to-back conference championships. Greg Buzia, who's the interesting note, Pat King would probably tell you this. Greg Buzia has been at 3 Duneland Conference teams. I mean, how many? I mean, the league has only got 8.
Right.
So he's been to 3 of them.
That sounds like a Tom Wells story.
Yeah, it is. He was at, obviously, he started his career at Portage, and of course took his team to the state championship game back in the 80s. And if you look at his other stop was at Michigan City. Now he's at Crown Point. On his coaching staff at Crown Point, he has 6 former head coaches on his coaching staff. I know you guys as basketball coaches, if you had another head coach on your staff, you probably feel like you were just, hey, we'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Well, no,
you got 6 guys on you.
when I was the head coach or the head basketball coach in Mishawaka, I had the infamous Pat King on my staff, and we said,
there you go.
Let's play anybody.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, we used to say, let's play two.
Let's play
after
two.
Ernie Banks, right?
Yeah, my main job, though, was to keep track of him on during ball game, make sure he stayed on our side of the half-court line.
Pat, I could see that. I have a hard time when he's sitting next to me on the broadcast table to make sure that he's saying the right team.
Well, exactly. I mean, the referees would sit there and look at me like, and of course they're looking at me like it's the fox guard in the hen house, because of how the referees really had such a nice love affair with me. Now they're looking at me like going, will you go get that guy? What's he doing? We just start laughing.
What you got to do is you got to strap him down to the chair and get one of those stun gun things.
Yeah.
So if he moves, you just poke him in his hip and make sure he stays seated. That's what I've done.
I had a fishing line tied to his belt, and I just reel him back down eventually.
All right, let's stop. Hey, listen, I want to thank you so much, man, for chiming in here and giving us your information on this football game. I mean, you're the best when it comes down to prepping. I mean, I work basketball games with you, and I see the prep sheet, and if I was a coach, I would take your prep sheet as a scouting report. It's so good, and I appreciate all the stuff you do. You're the best, Paul, man. Thanks for sharing a couple minutes on this Monday night with us.
Pat King, take care of Ron Hicklinski, Coach.
I do
Keep
the
Pat
best.
in line too, okay?
I do the best I can. I pray for him every night.
I mean, I'll be praying for you too. I'm going to the grotto right now. Thanks, guys. God bless.
See you, Paul. Bye. No, so when you guys talk about breaking down a game and preparing to broadcast a game, nonetheless coach a game, he breaks it down like nobody's business. And when you talk about the points per game, the passing percentages, everything, Paul goes into a game knowing all of that, and so that's why his broadcasts are great, and that's why your broadcast this coming Friday night, Pat, you and Kenny's broadcast better be right up there with the great Paul Condry, because he'll be in the booth with you,
he's
man.
Probably sitting right next to us. I'll be sitting there where I can kind of look over at his notes too. So don't be surprised.
No, hey, listen. The fact that there weren't any other good games on Friday night. I mean, what the hell?
He called me out on the Cathedral game. That's for sure, and that was a biggie, because they could have a rematch here in a couple weeks. But they actually played that at the Butler Bowl.
So what do we have in sectional play locally? I mean, give us some games and some schedules.
Like you said, the games here, 5A and 6A all have a bye this week.
Yes.
So everything you're going to see is 4A and smaller. So let's just go sectional 17, which is what we'll call our local sectional here for that side. Hobart's at New Prairie. That's the first game in the Sagarin ratings. They're number 1 and 2 in their sectional. You've got Gary West at Kankakee Valley. That's the top bracket. So the winners will play each other the following week. You've got East Chicago Central playing at Highland. You've got Culver Academy and Lowell in the bottom bracket. The Culver Academy Lowell game will probably be the best game down there. The winner of that will more than likely be in the finals against the winner of
and it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter who the winner of that bottom bracket is, because Hobart and New Prairie will win that sectional. Talk about some of our local teams. Riley, Washington.
Sectional 18 to 4A South End. Washington's down at Plymouth. Plymouth's actually favored in that game. I'm thinking one of the better games around here. The two of them, for particular, Northwood is at St. Joe. That's a 7-point game. Northwood's very good, but St. Joe keeps getting better and better. Don't be surprised if that's not a close game.
Well, anytime you go into a sectional game or any game with two Division I players on your team, you got to be, pretty good. Northwood is a team that beat Mishawaka and caused that tie in the Northern Lakes Conference for Mishawaka, and I believe Northwood or Warsaw?
Warsaw, I believe.
Okay.
Yep, Warsaw. It'd be Warsaw, Mishawaka at the top. So our broadcast sports team, we will have a team at the Riley Wawasee game, right?
Correct.
They will be at the Riley Wawasee game, and believe it or not, Wawasee with one win is actually it's only favored. It's like less than a touchdown favored simply because of strength of schedules. And Riley is at 8-1, but they're only a 3-point favorite. Figure that one out.
Where's that game at?
It's at Wawasee.
Yeah, okay, that's why.
John, you are going to be at Logansport. You get to go down to see the Berries, and you're going to go watch a very good Northridge team. And that shouldn't be much of a game, but you just never know. Anytime you have to go to Logansport, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, you're going to get cheated like you ain't never been cheated before. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Both custodians and
I've played there. Let's see, I was at Anderson for 18 years.
It doesn't matter whether it's basketball or football, does it?
I played there 9 times, and all 9 times there were relatives of the head coach working the game. I'm just saying.
All right, hey, 3A. Jim Towns at Fairfield. South Bend Clay will end their season where they got to go down to John Glenn. Knox is the number 1 team in 3A sectional.
Undefeated.
26 undefeated. Coach Radke got his 400. Think about 400 wins in a 10-game season.
Yeah, no, that's double to what we have in a high school basketball season.
What he's like 75, 80 years old?
I don't think he's 80, but I think he's in his 70s.
I'm teasing.
But I love Russ Radke. Russ Radke in the off season officiates basketball games, and
he looks at us like we're idiots when we yell at him.
He's great.
Figure
Russ
that
is
out.
great.
Can you believe that? All right, the big game in that one will be Mishawaka Marion is playing West Noble, and in their power ratings, they're number 2 and number 3 in that, right behind Knox, and they're all in the same bracket. So the first 2 rounds of that sectional are going to be pretty darn good because you've got really 4. Knox and Lakeland are both Lakeland's pretty good, and plus Knox has to go all the way 2 hours over to Lakeland. Think how many horse and buggies they got to pass between here and there. Because they got to go through Napanee all the way over to LaGrange.
I couldn't even think about that, to be honest with you.
The statewide sectional round is going to be sectional 28. You've got 4 undefeated teams in sectional 28. Guerin Catholic's got to go up to Peru. Peru's undefeated. Tippy Valley's undefeated. They've got to go to Indianapolis to play undefeated Chittard, who's number 1. Northwestern has to go just down the street to Maconaquah. And then Hamilton Heights is undefeated, and they've got to go over to Oak Hill. So that sectional is going to be a dandy.
Tippy Valley, for the longest time, had a great football program back in my day when I was going to Manchester College. Charlie Smith was their, renowned football coach, won state championships. Sadly, Charlie Smith passed away in a plane
he was
crash.
In that plane crash on the way to Clemson a couple years ago, wasn't he?
Yes.
He
I love Charlie Smith. I love Tippy Valley football.
Last sectional I got the 2A sectional. Bremen, which is a local team here, has to go over to Hammond Knoll. The big game in that sectional is going to be Andrean and LaVille. LaVille's number 1. LaVille is 8-1. Andrean's 3-6. But the 6 games they've lost have been to all like 4A, 5A, and 6A teams.
Sure.
So anticipate that Andrean-LaVille game being a nice, good ball game. If you're looking for a football game to go to, that would be a good game to go to.
And LaVille's only loss was to Knox.
Yes.
Was to Knox. And there's no shame in losing to a Russ Radke coached football team. So
we're going to we're covering 3 games this week. So you get on our webcast, you're going to see John down at Logansport. You're going to see myself and Kenny over at New Prairie doing the Hobart game. We'll be sitting next to Paul Condry. So you'll have 2 choices as far as to listen to. You can listen to Paul or you can listen to us. And then we've got a crew going to the Riley Wawasee game. So we've got things pretty well covered around here locally.
That is great, and high school football now is in the tournament, and it's a great tournament. Everybody's in it, and you want to say, hey, anybody can win this, but I don't think that's true. I think in football, I think the majority of the time, the depth and the quality of players that you have, I think most of the time that you never really see, and I shouldn't use the word never, but I don't think you really see 1 seed and 6 seed upsets. No. I think you may see see a 4-1 or a 3-1 upset, but I don't think you see like you do in high school basketball. Maybe maybe a 6 seed upsetting the number 1 seed. Major League Baseball is in swing now. Man, I think this is interesting that you got the Dodgers, a 100-win team, the Braves, a 104-win team, the Orioles, a 101-win team, the Brewers, a 92-win team, and the teams that are in the National League and the American League Championship Series are 3 out of the 4 are wild card teams.
And Texas just won again.
Yeah,
so
which puts them up 2-0.
They won both games in Houston, so they're up 2, and they've got Scherzer pitching on Wednesday night.
So you talk about great trades in mid-season now. The Rangers go get Max Scherzer. The Astros get Justin Verlander from the Mets. Now they both make a ton of money, $40 million, but you're going to take those guys, and those guys are playoff-tested pitchers, and that's why you go get those guys. You got the Phillies. And
they play tonight and tomorrow.
They're playing the Diamondbacks. Now look at this, okay? Everybody talks. So I'm a Cub guy, man. Come on, I'm a Cub guy, and you know I'm a Cub guy. And they talk about 2016 Cubs won it all. Blah 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 blah. Where are the Cubs now? Well, they talk about they want to be like the Phillies. I mean, the Cubs and the Phillies should not even be in the position they're in, because the right fielder for the Phillies, Nick Castellanos, was with the Cubs. He wanted the Cubs to re-sign him. The Cubs wouldn't do it. He signs 5 years, $100 million contract, $20 million a year. Kyle Schwarber never wanted to leave the Cubs.
Right.
The Phillies signed him to maybe a 4-year, $80 million contract. He hits the ball all over the yard. He wanted to stay.
He's the leading home run here. He's got 47 homers for them.
And he's hitting under the Mendoza line. He's hitting like 190, but he's a power guy.
And Castellanos has got 106 RBIs.
Yeah, and hit 2 home runs in the other night. Yeah. And Bryce Harper, the All-Star, wanted to sign with the Cubs. So if the Cubs would ever shell out some money, they could have been in. They could have ran that thing back a couple of times.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda, right, John?
Absolutely.
No. I mean, the Cubs sell out every game. Come on.
Know. Sure they do. I totally understand.
I mean, you got money. It's ridiculous. I like Arizona. I saw Arizona play 6 games.
Don't be surprised.
Against the Cubs late, and Arizona has young kids. They run, they pitch, they hit. I mean, I like that Arizona Philly series.
I think they'll go 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, I like Bruce Bochy.
To watch.
I mean, Bruce Bochy comes out of retirement to manage the Texas Rangers. I mean, he's a pro. And so, hey, Johnny, give us a couple questions, man. We're coming up to the end here. We got 3 more, I think.
Yeah, we got 3 more quick questions.
We can do those in a minute or less.
What does Jonathan Taylor re-signing do for the Colts' chances for the rest of the year? This comes from Joe in Missouri.
Well, what it does is it gives them another running back. Zeke Moss filled in really nicely for the Colts, but Jonathan Taylor's an all-pro running back, and even if it takes him some time to get his legs rolling and stuff like that, they're still going to have him for another 3 years to pair with Anthony Richardson, the rookie quarterback.
Well,
Coach?
and they're going to have to sell Gardner Minshew to the rest of the team and the fans, because it sounds like Richardson may be doing surgery, which will put him out for the season.
Yes.
Next one, Greg in Chicago asked your thoughts on the playoffs. You kind of just touched on that a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I think they'll go 6 or 7 games.
I think both of
these,
them will.
and they'll be fun to watch.
And the final question we had to us tonight, your thoughts on Purdue basketball being ranked 3rd in the preseason poll that came out today with Michigan State.
Well, Zach Edey, man, if Zach Edey's back, he's the biggest player in the country at 7'4". He's accomplished. It all comes down to Purdue being able to make a perimeter J, because we all know everybody's going to cover down.
We saw what happened last year in the tournament.
And a team that shouldn't have even been within 30 points of Purdue locks down Edey. The perimeter players don't make J's, and Purdue gets beat. It's been a great show. John, you're the best. Thanks for spinning the dials. We have one of your guys in studio with us tonight, Kenny. Kenny, thanks for hanging around and clapping for us, man. We appreciate that. And Pat, you're the best. Hey, even though You didn't know the football scores, even though Paul had to call you out.
I knew one out of two.
think
I did that on purpose.
The name-
I did that on purpose because Paul is the best.
The name of this show is Pat Was Called Out.
Okay, gotcha.
Pat was called out.
Hey, I'm a team player. I can live with that.
I love you. You're a great partner, man.
In spite of that,
Hey, thanks for listening. And
I feel like Eli Manning about right now.
We'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, man. Are you kidding me?